Hey guys, welcome to Did You Get That on Film? On this podcast, we deep dive into horror movies, and so it is full of explicit content as well as spoilers. Please be advised. Now, let's get to the show.
This is Did You Get That on Film, where we discuss characters in terrible situations that we would never find ourselves in. I am your host, DP, and with me always is my friend, someone who knows that if they pull a gun on you once, they will pull it on you again. What's up, Ruth?
Hello, everybody. On that note, today we're going to be talking about X.
Yeah, I love this one.
Okay. That is great for you. I love that for you.
Oh, I'm excited then.
So, X, it was released in 2022, and it was written, directed, and produced by Ty West. It's the first film in the X film series. So you have X, which was released in 2022. You have the prequel, Pearl, which was also released in 2022. And then there's a sequel coming up, Maxine, which is still in development, but it is supposed to be coming out this year. So it is scheduled for a 2024 release. So that one is going to take place chronologically after X. So from what I was reading, I think it's supposed to be like Maxine in Los Angeles in the 80s.
Yes, exactly.
Which, that's a great setting. I love that.
Yes.
So the overall plot of these movies, it centers on two characters, Maxine and Pearl. So both of these characters are played by the same actress, Mia Goth. So she is starring in dual roles. So she's a young Maxine and an elderly Pearl. So just something to remember. The girl has range. Oh yeah. Are you ready to just get on into it?
Well, yeah, because this is a movie that we did not watch together. I've never talked about. It was just one that we felt that we needed to do because there's a lot of excitement about MAXXINE coming out this year.
All right.
So it was like we wanted to make sure that we were really kind of touched. And it's a newer one. I think we haven't really done too many outside of the Terrifier series. Have done too many newer ones.
All right.
So this is gonna be fun. It's my first time gonna hear, just like you guys, hear Ruth's opinion on it. Because we've never talked about this one.
We've never talked about it, no. So yeah, let's get into it. We want to start the series, so we'll do Pearl at some point, but we're trying to get them out of the way so that when Maxine comes out, we'll be able to just jump into that one.
Right.
All right. So the movie opens on a shot of a farm, and we see police cars pulling up to the house. We see a police officer who we're going to learn is Sheriff Dentler. And as he gets out, he's walking up to the house, and he immediately stumbles upon a very bloody, very dead body. As he makes his way to the front door, there's a huge amount of blood all over the ground leading up to the house. And just inside, there is another body. So another police officer approaches Sheriff Dentler to tell him that he needs to go to the basement. There's something that he needs to see. So they walk down to the basement, and we can't see what they're looking at just yet, but it's something that must be pretty shocking because when Sheriff Dentler sees it, some really eerie, haunting music starts to play, and he just says, "My God." and the camera pans away and then cuts to black. And that was kind of the cold opening. So opening on this bloodbath at this farm. Then we cut to a dressing room at the Bayou Burlesque topless bar. And this is when we get our first look at Maxine Minx. And she is snorting some lines of coke, which she is wont to do in this movie. And we get some on-screen text, and it reads that this is just 24 hours earlier than the sheriff stumbling upon this bloodbath. So we also meet her boyfriend, Wayne. And after a little bit of like kissing and pep talk about just how special Maxine is, he exits. And Maxine looks at herself in the mirror and she says, "You're a fucking sex symbol." And I was like, you know what? That's the kind of positivity that I feel like everybody needs to carry into 2024. I was like, if nobody else believes in Maxine, Maxine has got Maxine. And I love that about her. I felt like Mia Goth really played the hell out of both of these characters. I love her as Maxine. I thought she was getting it. And so the movie is set in Texas. So the Bayou Burlesque is in Houston. And everybody has Southern accents. Mia Goth is playing Maxine's accent just perfectly because she's British. Did you know that?
She's British and Wayne is from New Zealand.
They're killing it.
They are.
And I was like, damn.
I couldn't do a.
I couldn't. No, it would be a joke. It would be laughable.
They've heard my Austrian accent, and it's it's questionable.
We've heard what you said was an Austrian accent. And we had our feelings about it. But yeah, I was like, damn, they're really killing it in this role. I'm shook. Like, I guess it's just real easy to do Southern. So the next we get a shot of them all walking out of the Bayou Burlesque. They have suitcases packed. They're loading up into a van because they are hitting the road. They're leaving Houston and they're heading to a more rural farm area to make a porno called The Farmer's Daughter. That just is. They're just making a porno. It's just that simple. And we get some on-screen text letting us know that it is 1979. So the whole crew is loaded up into this van, and the crew includes Maxine Minx, who is an aspiring adult film star, her boyfriend, Wayne, who is also acting as the producer of this film. There's two more actors, Bobby Lynn, who I love. She is a blonde bombshell. She's a lot of fun. So she's played by Brittany Snow. Jackson, who, my man, a.k.a. Scott Muscuddy, a.k.a. Kid Cudi, who I love.
Oh my gosh,
I was like, look at you, Kid Cudi. I love it. I love people expanding their portfolios. So Kid Cudi is also an adult film star. There's the film's amateur director, RJ. And then finally, RJ's girlfriend, Lorraine. RJ's girlfriend, Lorraine.
That's his girlfriend, Lorraine. Her daddy, Wade.
Stop. Stop, because I can't tell you how many people I know that have a combined...
You know, mine is a classy way of doing that.
Yes. And then Dondria...
My sister and my brother are both, but yeah, you know, mine is classy, but it's still comedy.
Yours is still a name.
Name. It's a name, but there's a reason why it's that name.
I'm not gonna shit on people with combo names. I'm not. More power to you. That's a beautiful thing. Two people came together and gave you that name. I love it. But her name is actually, it's RJ's girlfriend, Lorraine. And she's helping him with filming. So she's doing like sound, lighting, carrying shit.
Yeah.
And she's being played by Jenna Ortega. So Wayne recently found RJ. So RJ is I think he was just like a student. He's very much amateur. And then he brought along Lorraine. So the group doesn't really know them very well at all. They're just kind of mixing together to make this porno.
The help.
Yes. So RJ is pretty sociable, for the moment at least. Lorraine is pretty shy. She's quiet. She's definitely the innocent one of the group. Wayne is going to call her church mouse because that's what she's like. But we get some fun, light-hearted conversation of them in the car before they pull up to a gas station to get some supplies and then to shoot a little bit of extra footage. It gets like B footage for the porno. So Wayne and Maxine go inside, and Wayne is really selling this dream about how with this movie and this director, they may be able to really make it big. Make it big without the use of Hollywood, of course. He's like, we're going to do this on our own. It's going to be this little independent thing. So Maxine is like, it better fucking be. Because she's like, I want to be famous. I want the entire world to know my name. And she said, I'm tired of being patient. She's like, I'm trying to live the high life. She said, I have cosmopolitan taste. And I was like, I love her. I love this energy. Wayne assures her everybody with a pulse is going to be lusting after her because she has that X factor. So outside, RJ is filming some footage of Jackson pumping gas, but like making it sexy. And we get some delightful quips from Bobby Lynn, who I think is just a gem. I thought Brittany Snow did a really good job with this role. I thought everybody did a really good job in their roles.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not a big cast at all. It's like who I'm naming is like almost it. Yeah.
It's not a big cast and it's not a long movie, and that makes it great.
But Dante, because I don't think that I can sit through another 2-hour and 22-minute movie in 2024. I don't know I don't know what kind of patience I'm gonna have. Can't fucking do it.
Me neither.
But as Wayne and Maxine are checking out at the store, Wayne reveals that they're going outside of Houston to film because it's just cheaper. Maxine is like, I don't really understand why we have to leave Houston because there are farms out here. They're going to this farm specifically because they're going to be able to rent this house, this property for very, very little money. No. Is it worth it? I don't know. I guess we'll see, right? Now, they are making a porno, and at the time, in 1979, that is still very much, like, frowned upon. So that's another reason that they're kind of getting outside of the city limits. So as they're checking out, we get a glimpse on the TV. There's this fanatical pastor. It's a televised sermon. He's going to come up a lot throughout the movie.
Yes.
They kind of splice in bits of this sermon in a lot of different places. But the store clerk is watching it on TV, and they're essentially talking about how sex is a sin, people are sinning, lust, everybody needs to repent. So that's really kind of the vibe at the time. This group of people, they're very free spirit, kind of forward thinking, but that is not the norm of this area that they're in this time period.
No, it's Houston.
It's Houston. Can't forget that. So as the crew is driving, they come across a really bad accident, and fucking trigger warning. I know we don't give trigger warnings for like sexual assault or like murder, but it's a cow, you guys. It really broke my heart. An 18-wheeler hit a cow that got loose from this dairy farm, and it just looks like the cow exploded. Like Halloween 2?
When Michael yes. Like when Michael smashed that head.
That's exactly what this
Halloween
is like.
2018. When Michael smashed her head.
Stop. I hate. There's an exploding head in this one too. I'm tired of. Wait, there was an exploding head in Terror Train too. I'm tired of exploding things. It's very messy. There's a lot of. It's gross. There's a lot of like just like matter about guts,
Just
blood.
matter about.
Right. So it's all over the road. And they have a close up of the van's tires, and it's actually rolling through some of the guts on the ground. When Maxine sees this accident, the cow in the road, she nearly throws up, and she remarks how much she hates blood and guts. It's a really messy scene. I know.
Like,
I know, right? So we then cut to the crew. They're pulling up at the farm, and they're going to be filming here. So I guess surprise, surprise, it's the same farm from the opening, the cold opening of the movie, where that slaughter takes place. So I guess just remember that.
don't get too attached to these characters.
Right. That's absolutely right. We love them, but they're here for a good time, not a long time for sure.
A good time indeed.
Yes, good times were had. So Wayne gets out to go talk to the owners of the farm, and we get this little scene of a conversation between Lorraine and RJ. So Lorraine is actually not really pleased that RJ is filming this smut movie. She said that she would help him because she thought that it would be like a real movie. She thought that they were going to be doing a real project together. She didn't realize it was going to be porn. And he's trying to explain to her, like, look, girl, you got to start somewhere. He believes, and he reiterates this a lot through the film, he believes that he can make this dirty movie into a work of art. He thinks that he can turn this smut movie into something that is actually worth watching. So back at the house, Wayne is meeting Howard for the first time. So Howard is the homeowner, the owner of this farm, and he just immediately pulls a shotgun on
It's too
Wayne.
much.
It's aggressive as fuck.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And Wayne was like, I literally just talked to you like last week. We talked about this. I'm renting out your guest house. He assures Howard that he is not trespassing. And I was like, damn, does Howard have dementia or something? But he's like, we made arrangements of staying in the boarding house on the property. And so Howard puts the gun down. And I was like, I would be off put by that, right? I'd be like, something's not right about
This is when
this.
we have to. We gotta go back to Houston.
Right. Or at the very least, pick a different fucking farm.
We gotta go back to. We gotta leave now because what if? What if he forget again?
Right. Anything can happen. If he's that trigger happy, like if he'll just pull a gun on you for fucking nothing, you could be lost. He doesn't know.
Also, why is he so grotesque looking? I couldn't be.
Okay.
I would have to leave. I would be like, first of all, you got a gun. You look dirty. This place looks dirty. I mean, they're from Houston, so they're used to dirty stuff. But that's not
My
the point.
thing is, I think that because he does look
Look dirty.
rough, but I was like, they're old. They're really old.
No. And they are grotesque looking. I guess it's a scary movie.
I know, right? It is a horror movie, and they look like creatures.
They're y'all. Yes, they look like hills have eyes.
They do.
For real. Like
No, like not even lying.
and well, we haven't seen her yet, but she looked like Wrong Turn.
She does, and I hate that you're right because she kind of does.
Who was the makeup artist? Because this person did a phenomenal job. I mean, phenomenal.
I'm not sure who the makeup artist is, but yes, you're right. They did do a phenomenal job.
Her name was Sarah Rubano. She did the hair and makeup for this movie.
Good for you, girl.
and she did a great job.
Good job.
She did. This is Nutty Professor level.
She did a good job. And then Ty West did, I think it was like a situation kind of like Damien Leone, where I think he had a hand in the practical effects too. Because I was like, I think they did a good job with the practical effects too. Anytime that there's like blood, guts, gore, like they
Right, and it was only $1 million.
yeah. I mean, I'm not. I don't mean this in a negative way at all. You can tell it's giving very much like Terrifier vibes, where it's like you could tell that the budget was low, but they were able to do a lot with that budget because they were creative.
And everybody was like was like down for the cause.
Exactly.
Which is important.
It is. I think that makes for good movies. I do.
Yeah, because we love the first Terrifier. And also like let's even take it all the way back to the original Halloween.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just like when you have everybody's like real down for the cause, and the movie isn't like bloated with a big cast, and it's not long as all outdoors,
or just like too many. Like that's an issue with the Halloween 2018. We're like at the insane asylum, then we're at like this, then we're in this neighborhood, and then we're at this neighborhood. It's like so many sets, so many people, it's so many things happening at once, and it's like it they have a real problem with that in Halloween Kills, where it's too much. You lost the plot, right? If you just keep it simple.
Simple. It's almost like a stage play.
Right. That's what it feels like. That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah.
So
anyway, Howard's ugly.
we say all that to say Howard is a monster.
Oh my god.
But yeah, but I was like, it's a good thing Howard did put down that gun, not necessarily because we learn later there's a bullet issue, but Maxine was about that life. She went straight for that gun in the glove compartment. She was like, something's wrong.
Keep that thing on ya.
Exactly. She was like a foolie with the toolie. She was like, let me grab this real quick. And I was like, she's doing the right thing because everybody else is like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. He has a fucking shotgun trained on Wayne's upper body. He could have blasted him at any moment. Maxine was the only one that was like, let me prepare. But we love that for her. So Howard, when he finally comes around and he recognizes who they are and they get to stay, the crew starts to unpack their van. Maxine, as she's taking her stuff out of the van, she notices an elderly woman that's watching her from the second story of the main house. And this is who we're going to learn is Pearl. So this is Howard's wife. So as Howard is showing the crew the accommodations, there's this moment where he's really staring at Maxine. And I was like, are they doing that because Maxine is also Pearl? You know what I mean? Like, she looks exactly like Pearl when she was younger.
We don't know that yet.
I know you don't know, but like, once you
that's
do
why.
know, but that's why, right? Because Wayne says something like, bet you never seen anything like her before. And I was like, I don't know about that. I actually think he's seen something exactly like her before. But I was like, I thought, is that what they were like implying? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when you go back and watch it, you're like, that's clever.
Right. So he's kind of stuck for a moment and he's like looking at Maxine. But the crew is getting all settled. And Howard, he's kind of a curmudgeon because he makes it known that he really doesn't like them at all. Like, he's just like, straight up, I don't like any one of you. And he also wasn't expecting all of them to be there. And that is Wayne's fault. He obviously did not tell them that.
Lied.
Right. I guess that's another way of describing it. He omitted the truth for sure. He didn't
Hard.
disclose that they were going to be filming a porno, obviously, in Howard's guest house. And he didn't disclose how many people were going to be there. So he was just kind of banking on them getting there because I think the rate to rent the guest house was like $30 and he gave him more than $30. So I think he was just banking on being able to kind of like bribe his way out of this situation. So he offers Howard the extra money. And then Howard, he like fucks off, but begrudgingly. He's like, you better fucking be discreet. And I was like, is he saying that because I was like, I don't necessarily think that he's worried about Pearl's like modesty. Is he saying that because he knows that at any moment Pearl can fly off the handle?
Yes.
Okay. Because he's like, be discreet. And I'm like, for Pearl? Because I think it's just because she's kind of, what we're going to learn later is Pearl's kind of sex crazed. She can be.
Yeah. She's the worst.
Dante, she is the worst. She's the fucking worst. Okay, thank you. I'm glad that we agree on that.
I don't like Pearl. Now, I
As a
like the
person?
movie Pearl, but like, yeah, this character Pearl, I don't like her at all. I never feel bad for her.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Never. There's never a point where I'm like, oh, I feel so bad for her. I'm always like, she sucks. She's god awful. And she is, I don't want to call her, I can't wait till we do that movie because there's these scenes. She's definitely sex crazed.
Right. So there are times where it's like every time I started to teeter on the feeling bad for her, she immediately, it wasted no time in doing or saying something that I was like, girl, when are you gonna die? I cannot wait for you to die. But so Howard fucks off. Lorraine isn't too pleased with any of this because now, she already doesn't like they're doing a smut video. She already has an issue with like women having sex. She already has an issue with like having to film it, and now she's upset because Wayne didn't like disclose to this man. And I was like, "Fuck Howard."
First of all,
Fuck him.
and secondly, why would he say that? Yes, he lied, but also like, duh. Did you really think he went there and
Right,
was like,
bitch.
yo,
Hey, we're gonna be shooting a porno in this place. Can we rent it? Like, what the fuck? Use your brain,
you
bitch.
know, she's dumb.
She irritated me.
Airbnbs have such high cleaning rates. Could you imagine the fees?
Can you imagine if you told them that you're going to be shooting a porno? They'd probably charge you, I mean, out the wazoo for those cleaning fees.
Out the wazoo.
I can't even imagine. Up the wazoo.
Up the wazoo.
It's too
all
much.
like a Yahoo.
Exactly. All up in there. So but almost immediately after Howard leaves, he gets in his truck. The crew just starts fucking. Right? It takes no time. They're like, let's get to fucking, because you have to remember in 24 hours, not even at this point in like 16 hours, every single person's gonna be dead, right? Like we're gonna be finding bodies all over the place. So they almost shoot this entire porno, right? So they immediately, they couldn't wait. So they're starting the film. So Bobby, Lynn, and Jackson are shooting a scene. RJ's filming, of course, and Lorraine is on sound. And RJ is giving directions because remember, he is trying to make cinema, not smut.
Cinemax.
Cinemax scene.
Cinemax scene.
Stop. That's what they should have called me. That should have been the name. That could have been one of the taglines. So whatever RJ is doing, Wayne loves it. Apparently it looks great. So he shows him this scene that they've made. So while all of this is going on, while they're shooting this porno, Maxine decides to go for a walk around the property, and she stumbles upon this little lake with a small dock. And so she decides that she is just going to strip down and jump in. And she doesn't notice, but we can see that someone is watching her a little ways behind her. It's Pearl being a fucking creep. So Maxine is just relaxing. She's trying to float in the water. And the camera pans over to show us there's a big ass fucking alligator in this water that she's completely unaware of. So as she starts to swim back to the dock, we get this. It was a really cool aerial shot of her moving through the water, and not far behind her is the alligator swimming, kind of closing in on her. She makes it to the dock, but she's like unaware that this alligator is literally right behind her. And I hated this because I hated the tension of it. Like, clearly I know that Mia Goth is like not about to die right now because we have a whole nother sequel coming out. But I was like, please get out of the fucking water. I hate water stuff.
Do you think that the alligator, from what we know now, the alligator thought that was Pearl
I wonder.
and just knew not to eat her?
Right, I wonder. That's a really good point.
When we get further in the movie, we'll learn the alligator isn't as coy.
Oh, no. This is not a docile alligator. This alligator means business. But he doesn't attack her. She gets out. It seems like it's a close call, but that's a good point. Maybe he wouldn't have. I don't know. So she jumps out. She never even realizes that the alligator was there.
Ooh.
I know. So as she's walking back to the house, she sees an elderly woman that's standing on the porch. It is Pearl. They wave to each other, and the elderly woman then gestures for Maxine to come into the house, and then she just kind of like disappears inside. Once Maxine is inside, she's searching around for the elderly woman. Their house is kind of nasty.
Kinda.
I'm just trying to be nice because they are older. Because I don't want to shit on them. Because I was like, I think it's because they're older that their house is fucking disgusting.
It's not.
Well, their house is kind of nasty.
Their house is nasty and dirty. You know it's smelling up.
It has to.
You know, I'm very sensitive to smells.
I think there's like flies and shit.
Oh, yeah, they definitely got flies. You know how dirty? That place is dirty. It looked dusty.
I know it's dusty.
I've met elderly women. I know how they usually keep their house clean. This is not appropriate.
Pearl is not a cleaner.
She's not.
And this is my thing.
She's a cleaver.
She is. I know that I keep saying they're elderly, but the shit that they are able to accomplish in this movie, they could wash those dishes.
Right.
Straight up. But let's continue. So once Maxine finds Pearl, or Pearl walks in, she offers Maxine some lemonade, which Maxine accepts, like, low-key greedily, right? She's drinking the fuck out of this lemonade, and I was like, I bet that glass isn't even clean. I'm not trying to be rude.
I would have said thanks, but no thanks. I guess it's the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the 70s. She walked into that kitchen, and even she was kind of like,
It's stinking though.
Exactly.
That snaggletooth.
I know.
Smell like sewage. Come on.
But you don't see anybody cleaning themselves. Maxine jumps in that water. That water was like green. Nasty as fuck.
Even if it was crystal clear, you jump in public water. That's nasty.
That's nasty. But then she just goes straight to shooting a porn. I was like, what does that smell like? I just felt, I was like, I'm very
Tell me what that thing smelled like.
Right? And then I was like, you don't see, I was like, I know they don't show every single thing, but like, I want to see Jackson wash his privates. You never see Jackson use a wet towelette or anything.
I guess what they call, that's the swamp trick? Jungle boogie?
I don't like that. The jungle boogie? I hate that. I hate that you just said that. That's the vibe that it's giving. That you never see him wash, you never see them wash. It's just, I was like, damn, y'all are doing a lot to say you're not washing.
A lot to each other.
Exactly. But she greedily drinks this lemonade. Is so fucking greedy. She put a lip straight on this fucking lemonade. I was like, ugh.
It's a horror movie.
It is a horror movie.
Story,
it's just supposed to make us feel uncomfortable from start to finish. I was like, this must all be a part of the plan. So during all of this, we're getting some like interspersed shots of the porno they're filming. And I was like, it does look great. I was like, RJ's doing his thing. Good for him. But inside, Pearl is showing Maxine some photos of her in her youth. And she's kind of lamenting the loss of her beauty and the life that she had. And she says that she was a dancer before the war came and Howard had to serve.
I gave Ruth the look, everybody. That's not true. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this list.
But I was like, for that time, well, clearly not, right? Because they didn't even think that she was like good enough.
Talking about, yeah,
I was like,
talking about some of the people talking about, yeah, because I almost went pro. Like, what? I'm sorry, come again.
So she felt like she was a dancer. Overall, she just feels like her life was kind of wasted, right? She's showing Maxine these pictures of her, and I was like, I wonder why Maxine isn't like, damn, you look a lot like me.
Or like, damn, I'm like that.
Stop, because she tells Maxine that later, and I was like, if I was Maxine, I probably would have just killed myself, because she's like, you're gonna be me, and I was like, damn, that's so rough.
That's why she did what she did at the end, because you said,
I know, because you said that.
Pissed me off.
Pearl is telling Maxine how beautiful she is and how special her face is. And then she reaches out to touch Maxine's bare side. And Maxine is like, what the fuck are you doing? It's just like, they don't even have time to like really get into that, because I know that Maxine was very thrown off, because it's like, you're ancient. Why are you touching like that?
You're literally melting from my eyes.
Right, you look sick, and this is the last thing you should be thinking about. But Howard is pulling up, and so Pearl is like, you should probably get out of here. And so she's like, it'll just be like our little secret. And Maxine is like,
okay.
So Maxine is able to sneak out without Howard seeing her, and she races back to the guest house where she has to just get ready to do a scene. We've already discussed the hygiene issue, so I'm not going to get into it again. But she just has to kind of just get ready and jump into the scene. So back in the main house, Howard notices that there are 2 glasses of lemonade on the kitchen table. So he knows that somebody else was in the house. So this whole thing, seeing these people, this interaction with Maxine, all of this really has Pearl kind of feeling some type of way.
Sexual.
I guess that's the type of way. It's not some type of way. It's a sexual type of way. We get this little shots of her like brushing her gray hair. She is applying some blue eyeshadow that she probably got pre-war.
First war.
I know. I was trying to be rude.
The first war.
But yes. Y'all. So she's putting on this blue eyeshadow, bless her. And she even puts on this pretty dress. And so we cut back to Maxine. And after she does a little coke and she gives herself a pep talk in the mirror, and she says, I will not accept a life I do not deserve. And I was like, you go, girl. She starts her scene. She didn't wash her ass or anything. She starts this fucking scene. So she is like knocking it out of the park. So everybody's really feeling it, really feeling the scene. Even Lorraine, who is like prude central, she's even like, damn, Maxine. Now, everybody is like really into this, and Pearl has wandered over as well. And she's also peeping in, and she's watching Maxine and Jackson having sex through a window. And because Pearl is a freak, I'll say it. I don't think we've said it yet. Pearl's a freak. She starts to envision herself in Maxine's place. Gray hair, down, wispy, blue eyeshadow on, pre-World War One, riding Jackson, this black man. She's like, ooh, I want that. So she's getting all hot. And she wanders back into her house. Howard is there waiting for her. She has her little dress on, her blue eyeshadow, and she starts to try to seduce Howard. She's just really lonely. You know, she desperately wants to be touched sexually. And she's kind of pleading with Howard to have sex with her. But he's like, no, my heart is too weak. And he just kind of walks away. And that's when she decided, fine, I'm just going to have to kill everybody. Like, if he just had sex with her in that moment, I think that we wouldn't have had a film. I think it would have just been over.
We would have still had a film. They recorded one for us, but we would have had.
Right. Right. It would have just been a little bit of a different film. So there's a scene coming up that I thought was like a cool. So back in the guest house, everybody is gathered and they're talking, and Lorraine is really trying to wrap her head around how Wayne could be okay with watching Maxine have sex with Jackson. And Wayne is saying, it's just business. He doesn't mind her having sex with anyone else while the cameras are rolling because it's like her job. Lorraine asks, well, don't y'all believe in love? And Maxine's like, of course we do. But Lorraine just really can't comprehend how you can love someone and still have sex with other people. She apparently feels this way, but all that is just like goes out the window in like 6 minutes because they just really kind of start trying to school Lorraine because Maxine is like, I don't really like Lorraine, straight up. She's like, she has a staring problem. And she's like, I don't want to have to like get funky with her, but she kind of does. She's like, didn't nobody ever teach you not to stare? Like, she just like, Lorraine really is kind of like rude, right? So they're really trying to teach her, you have all these hangups. These are like really outdated traditions. Like, they're like, we're not trying to live our life that way. And like, you really can't choose who you're attracted to, who you want to have sex with. They tell her that everybody likes sex. They're just open and honest about it. But at the end of the day, people like watching them have sex. It's scary for them. It's exciting. Bobby Lynn says it's like a Foxy car wreck. But she's like, we're not doing anything wrong. So Lorraine is like, I don't agree with everything that y'all just said, but she does admit that she does like what she saw that day. She enjoyed Maxine's performance. And then we get this scene. I thought that this was very
Random?
So the scene is Jackson, aka Kid Cudi, playing the guitar while Bobby Lynn sings Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. And I was like, I wonder why he did this. Because I guess it's like I can understand the song choice because the song is about like the seasons of your life and changes that happen just like kind of as you get older and you can't really help these things. And that is really indicative of kind of what Pearl is going through. Yeah. And so this is the only time in the movie where I was watching her because you don't know much about her yet. So far she's kind of weird. But you just kind of seen her be kind of lusty. She got rejected by Howard. And then this song, it's playing and they're doing this like side by side screen of them playing. And then Pearl is removing all the makeup that she put on and she's taking off that pretty dress and she's putting her hair back up and she's just like kind of climbing into bed. And she's just like clearly lamenting the loss of her youth. And I was like, this scene is touching. It is pretty heartbreaking if you didn't know anything about Pearl. But I just kind of thought, I was like, I don't really, I guess maybe song he felt was the best way to like convey this message. But I just thought it just felt random. I don't know.
Well, this is what I would say. When we talked about it earlier, with it being kind of like a stage production, because right after that song ends, this movie goes.
Dante, stop, because
moves so quick.
It escalates so quickly. That is really like.
So I just felt like it was like the end of Act 1. Like this song and then Lorraine's part, her one.
And then maybe you get like an intermission.
And then it comes back to.
And then you come back and it.
To RJ in the shower. And that's the beginning of the next act.
So. Yeah, it is. It definitely feels. And I was like, I didn't read anything about Ty West doing any kind of like stage stuff, but it does. You're so right that that's exactly what it feels like. Just from somebody that did like plays, it just kind of, this felt like because they literally, like, they're talking, they're having just regular normal conversation. And then he's like, okay, you ready? And he just whips out this fucking guitar. They sing this song and then that's it. They put it away. They literally just sang this one song. It's not even like they're drinking, having a good time. He's been playing guitar all night. They just do this.
We knew he played guitar. That was some new stuff.
Right. I was like, I didn't even see them bring in a guitar. It was just like all of a sudden he's like, all right. They're like, wow, that's really deep.
Well,
okay, you ready?
Yeah.
And then he just like, pulls out this guitar. Short.
So I'm thinking, like, did they record the whole movie, I wonder? Or if they were like, okay, now tomorrow we're going to do another scene where he's...
Well, no, I wonder that too, because remember... Okay, so let's get to this part, because this is the part that I want to talk about. So we get that scene was like it was kind of sad. That was a scene where I did feel bad for Pearl. If you knew nothing about her, you'd be like, oh, that's sad. As soon as that song is over, literally, I think it's like they don't even have time to be like. As soon as it's over, Lorraine hits everybody with the like, well, now I want to be in the movie. Fuck it. Everybody's like, there's literally like 20 whole seconds of just straight fucking silence where nobody knows what to say. And then RJ's just like, what?
The song touched her because she's like, okay, well, because, you know, not Brittany, Bobby Lynn says, you know, you're not going to be young and sexy forever.
True, she did say that.
And she saw Pearl, and she's like, ah! You know, she's scared. That's scary. She probably was like, okay.
But I agree. I do think that makes sense. That makes sense. Why that would be like a turning point for her. But it's just literally, Dante, Landslide is a song that is maybe like 3 minutes, okay? In the span of 3 minutes, she just finished saying, how can you love somebody and have sex with somebody else, or like, and watch them have sex with somebody else? She's like, she was like, I don't agree with that. Like, I don't see how those things correlate. She couldn't make sense of that in her mind. And now, after a amateur rendition of Landslide, she's like, I'm gonna be in porn. And I was like, damn.
She's also very young.
She is young. I just felt like it was weird. I felt like that was a weird shift. And this is funny because they actually almost address it. So RJ is like, no, you can't do that. And she keeps asking him why, and he's really not giving her a good reason. And I was kind of frustrated with RJ too, because I was like, you're hurt and I get it. I understand that. Tell her that. the way that he handled this situation was very, very poor. And I was like, she maybe would have still done it, but you would have come off as less of an asshole, and y'all probably wouldn't have like you probably could have ended everything on better terms if you had been like, I I am filming this, this I don't accept that for our relationship as something that I would like, these are my feelings too. I'm another member of this relationship. I don't agree with that. And I think that if we both aren't open to it, because Maxine and Wayne are both open to it. Bobby, Lynn, and Jackson are both open to it. It's not
They're a
fair
couple,
for you to
right?
just
Are they?
sometimes.
Or are they just like,
Yeah.
or was it just kind of like, well, hell, we work together and we just be doing it all the time, so I guess we're cool.
No, I got the sense that they were like kind of a couple
Cause they slept in
too.
the same bed.
Just in the way that they were with each
Okay.
other. Things that they said to each other. I just got the sense that they were also kind of a couple.
She sprung that on him quick.
And then in front of everybody too, right? Like she was just like, yeah, I'm gonna do the porn now. And RJ was like, he didn't handle it well. And I think that he should have talked to her privately. But none of this is gonna matter in 25 minutes. So he tells her this was the reasoning that he gave. And this was a bullshit reason, because if I was like, girl, that wouldn't have stopped me from doing it either. Instead of being like honest with her about how he feels, he tells her that the movie is already half shot. So that's why I think that they weren't finished. I think they still had filming to do. He's like, the movie is half shot and you can't just change the plot of a movie midway through. And she's like, bullshit, you love the movie Psycho. And he's like, well, Psycho is a horror film. And he's like, that plot was a MacGuffin just to build suspense. And he said, I'm not making that kind of movie. And I just thought that was so funny because Ty West is making that kind of movie. I thought that was so funny because I was like, you are directly describing the movie that we are watching right now, because none of this matters. Like, none of anything that happens like after the next like 10 minutes of the movie
matter.
It's right. It's sliced in half, two completely different movies, just like Psycho. I thought that was really funny. But Lorraine is like, RJ, be fucking for real right now, because
it's a porn.
She was like, nobody's coming to see this movie for the fucking plot. They're trying to see tits, ass, and a big old dick, basically. And Jackson was like, well, thank you. So RJ is still like, no. And she hits him with the, when did you become such a prude? Because I think he hit her with that earlier in the movie, right?
He did.
Right. And so she played the fuck out of him. And he's heated at this point. And Wayne is like, all right, time out. Before there's a complete meltdown, he's like, RJ, come outside with me. Let's talk this through. Because RJ is about to
smack her.
Right. Things are getting very heated. So outside, Wayne is basically like, look, if Lorraine wants to ride Jackson's big old slong, she's going to do it whether you approve of it or not. You can fight her on this, and she will rebel. And she'll probably end up riding much bigger, much more plentiful schlongs in the future. She just wants to do this to get it out of her system. He's like, I don't think this is really what Lorraine wants to do. She just wants to like do this because she's young, right? Because they sang the song. She's like, I don't want to be old and realize that I didn't ride a big juicy schlong in my youth. So he's like, nobody wants her to end up being a porn star. So you might as well support her decision and let's just get this over with. They're having this conversation, but I was like, Lorraine's practically already riding Jackson's schlong because they're already going to the back room as they're having this conversation. I was like, RJ, you really just need to like get on board, bro. They're just asking you to use your camera at this point, because I was like, she's gonna do this regardless. So by the time RJ makes it back into the house, Lorraine is already only in her bride underwear. She's getting her makeup done. Her hair is already done. Like, and Jax is in the corner doing his like pre-sex push-ups to get the good gains so he can get a good shot on camera.
Well, yeah. That's when he says to Wayne, he's like, well, she's a good girl.
Oh, and Wayne is like, and what the fuck is that supposed to mean?
He's like, there's no good girls.
Right. But yeah, so Lorraine, there's a scene where she has to take off her cross because she's like, I don't want Jesus to see this big juicy schlong that I'm about to ride. So it's just so fucking strange. Wayne hands RJ the camera, and RJ is damn near in tears. It's like that scene from Boys in the Hood where Cuba Gooding Jr. comes in and he's like punching the air. That's RJ. He's so upset right now. And so he's filming it, but they do shoot the scene. We don't see it, we just kind of see it getting started, but they shoot the scene, it's over. So later that night, everybody is asleep except RJ, who is in the shower having a fucking mental breakdown.
Crying, y'all.
He is bawling, poor thing. I'm sure that was difficult to watch, and he didn't really talk to her about it. Like, talk to her about your feelings, bro. No, he just cried alone in the shower. And so as he's having this mental breakdown, he decides, you know what? Fuck that. I'm just going to steal the van and leave them all stranded on this farm in the middle of nowhere-ass Texas. He's exhibited poor decision-making at every turn.
Well,
this was not a good idea.
It was just... It set everything into motion.
It did. But I was like, would everything have been set into motion if he hadn't?
I feel like they would have not. I feel like the outcome may have been the same, but I feel like they wouldn't have been split up because they would have all been in that house. There would have been 6 of them in that house.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And it's 2 old people.
Right. At the end of the day, it is 2 pretty frail.
And I feel like
old
somebody
people.
would have just been like snapped out of it and been like, "These are 2 old people. What are we doing?
Right.
These are 2 old people."
And I think that like 3 men
and 3 women could take them,
and 3 young women,
take them.
yes.
So he started because and we'll talk about it in just like a few minutes. Once he's gone, everybody starts to split up, and that's right. What happened.
I hated the way that
that
they did this.
But it started all because he left.
He was like, "I'm gonna take this van and leave."
And it's like, what did Maxine do? Make her, like,
right?
Like, she barely said anything in there. Like, what did Jackson do?
Jackson did all the heavy lifting. Jackson was working overtime that day. He was probably just resentful of Jackson because Jackson is the one that Lorraine was like, yeah. She was basically like, I'm going to fuck Jackson today. Howard has kind of the same reaction to Jackson because we get a shot later. Jackson is not a small man. He's a pretty well-endowed man. And I think that it definitely got under Howard's skin. And I think that it probably got under RJ's skin too. So he was probably like, fuck Jackson. And he was like, fuck Wayne because you talked me into it. And then he was definitely like, fuck Lorraine. And he was like, Bobby Lynn with that damn song. And it's just like...
And Maxine, she thinks she's a goddamn star.
Yes. I'm a fucking star. So as he's driving in the driveway, Pearl is standing there. And she's in her nightgown and she's blocking the path. So he has to get out because at the end of the day, she is like an elderly woman, right? So he gets out.
But they're playing Don't Fear the Reaper.
I know. This is my thing too. Did you notice? And I was like, I don't know if I'm just...
A horror movie.
Exactly. She was standing really funny. Did you notice that? She was standing with one of her arms really weird behind her back. And I was like, that's a horrible
She's
sign.
hiding something.
She's hiding something behind her back.
I would have politely, because this is what was crazy to me. But movie got a movie. I was like, you about to leave 5 people you bang with, just stranded. F that old lady. I've been like, whoo,
My thoughts
swerve.
exactly.
I've been
Why
like,
didn't you just go around her? Like, bitch, it's a fucking open field. Fuck this bitch. This could be her nightly exercise. He could have gotten out of there. And then I feel like, no, I guess everything probably would have still happened the same
it
way.
was still
But you
would
know
have.
what? Maybe not. Maybe not, because they would have, if they had gone out and saw that the van was gone, they would have known that RJ just left, and then they wouldn't have done all this fucking splitting up.
Because have you ever experienced outside the mystery gang a group of people split up so hard?
I've never in my life seen anything of the sort. It was just, they split up for reasons completely unknown to me. It was just such ridiculous. Okay, so let's get to it, because people are probably like, what? What the fuck?
It was like the Parent Trap, how they split up. Just like, it was gone. They were on
Let's
opposite
split
ends.
up.
Like, huh?
But why? Opposite terrains. One is waiting in a fucking lake. One is in a barn. One is in a house. It's too much. So he gets out and he's checking on Pearl. I noticed immediately that she is standing really funny. I would have been alarmed, but RJ just goes right up to her and he tries to see if she's all right. Once he approaches her, she immediately tries to seduce him. And she puts her arms around him and she starts moaning. Well, she puts one arm around him, right? She starts moaning. She tries to kiss him, but he backs away. And she tells him to look at her the way that I guess he looks at Lorraine. She wants to feel lusted after. And she tries to show him her boobs. And he said, I don't want to see that.
It's a horror movie. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, it's a fright. It's a fright night.
He said, I don't want to see that.
Oh, I don't want to see that.
Stop. I know. So he's like backing up. And then I was like, I wonder, do you think if he'd like kissed her a little bit, do you think she still would have stabbed him? Yeah, right?
I watching it the first time, no. Watching it after Pearl, yes.
Okay. So instead, he's like, let's go find Howard. Let's go find your fucking
And
husband.
the way she looks, just so like, oh, I tried, y'all.
She did stop, because it's like
Oh, she was
she
like,
just
oh,
kind
I
of like
tried.
does an internal sigh, an internal eye roll, and then the way she just casually, straight fucking casually, she jams a knife into RJ's neck. She's like, well,
Just like,
he left me no choice. Right. She just jams it in his neck. And so he falls to the ground and she straddles him. And while he's asking her to help him, she pulls the knife out. Blood is flying everywhere. She just starts stabbing him, I mean, repeatedly in the neck. Blood is spraying everywhere. And they did this effect with the screen too. They made it like they put like a red filter just to give you an idea of just like how bloody it was,
because
because
they're still in front of the car.
exactly. And so the blood is getting on the lights of the
Yeah.
car, so everything is just like a tinted a tinge of red. She's basically, it's like she goes into this like trance and she stabs him so many times. I mean, she decapitates him. That's how many times she just like stabs him in the neck. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's the first on-screen kill.
She's not a well woman.
Clearly.
Y'all, and they about to keep coming.
It this is what it's two different movies. It's straight a stark difference from the first. And then the crazy thing is, I think RJ doesn't die until like an hour into the movie, right?
Right.
An hour into the movie, and then it's just like
When I was
boom.
watching it, it's so fast. It's fast
Mm-hmm.
because all of this is about to
Yes,
happen in like 30 minutes,
right.
which is nice.
It was very different, and I just thought that it was very cool that he brought up Psycho, because that is the exact vibe. It's like just a straight split down the middle, of MacGuffin plot in the beginning to set you up for this totally different horror movie towards the end. So then she just starts dancing like ballet esque, like she did when she
This
was
lady is
younger.
sick.
She's very sick and she's covered in blood. She really stays covered in blood for the rest of the movie. She never washes her hands or
No,
anything.
nobody watches anything over here
No, not at all.
except RJ.
And look what happened to him.
You so sexless. Why you washing yourself?
I know. Ugh. RJ's like the only person in the movie that did not have sex in the entire thing. Lorraine was doing a lot. I'm sorry. I'm all for the empowerment, but Lorraine, that escalated very
It was just
quickly.
it was the way you did it, Lorraine. You rude.
It was rude. Like, talk to him about it privately, but whatever.
It don't
So
matter.
Pearl takes the keys out of the van. So now we cut to Lorraine in the guest house. So she had been sleeping, but then she rolls over and she notices that RJ is not in the bed next to her. And so she gets up to go look for him. When she cannot find him, she starts, and this, I was like, I don't like Lorraine.
She's a child. Is what it is.
She's very, very, very much a child, because then she starts crying about, so Wayne wakes up too, and she's worried that now RJ may have left her, and she feels bad because she thinks she may have hurt him, and she feels bad about that, and she's like, I don't want to break up. And I was just like, shut the fuck up. I was like, you're so annoying.
But y'all already broke up
You're broken up,
in
right?
more
Like,
in
because
more
you,
ways than one. Like y'all are done.
right, but in my head, I'm like, even if it wasn't like having sex, even if you were like, I want to buy a Corvette and I'm going to do it whether you like it or not, that's even enough of a reason to like break up. It's just, you're a unit, so you're supposed to make decisions like a unit. These are huge decisions. You can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to do this and fuck what you think and then say we're going to, a huge decision. And then be like, well, I didn't want to hurt him. I didn't want to break up. Girl, it's too late for that. So Wayne, who is, I feel, the last person to be taking relationship advice from, because we learned, there's like a throwaway line, Wayne was married and then he got like divorced for Maxine too. So this is not a relationship guru,
I
girl.
took that more so as like even like with Mix Your Boy though with the song. It's like even though a big focus is on like the women, like Wayne was probably like, I don't want to live my life unhappy.
Okay, I'll give you that. So he is trying to assure her that it's all fine. He's like, well, the van is still here, so he can't have gone far. And he's like, you didn't do anything wrong, so he'll get over it. And I'm like, okay. So he just really wants to go back to bed, but she just wants him to help her find him. And he begrudgingly agrees, but he doesn't grab a sock,
A
a
shoe,
shirt,
y'all.
a
This
shoe,
dude is in his drawers
straight up,
and
like
briefs.
briefs.
No shoes, just straight up like all he have on is briefs.
I was just like, you're walking around this farm. You don't live here. First of all, additionally, it's a farm. Why would you want to be walking around shoeless on a farm, there's like horses, so you know there's manure and stuff, or there's like cows, right? They have cows. So there's has to be manure. It's just
And it's
I was like,
dark.
put some fucking shoes on. You can't see what's happening. So
I guess because like the theme of the movie is like sex, so it's like they're like free.
I guess. So she Lorraine asked Wayne to help her find him, but then they
We split
immediately
up
split up.
immediately.
Immediately. Wayne goes to the barn and Lorraine walks near the main house. Now, had she kept walking, Howard caught her because we learn later Pearl does nothing to hide RJ's body. They don't move it, they don't cover it. His body is literally just on the other side of this van. So had she kept walking and not been kind of distracted by Howard, she would have seen that and everybody would have been alerted, right? Before things like escalated the way they did. But as she's walking, she's near the main house and the light comes on and Howard comes out. And she says that she can't find her boyfriend and he says he can't find his wife. So they're going to try to search together, apparently. So now back in the barn, Wayne, for some strange
Oh God,
reason,
I
is
can't do
pretty
this.
sure it's okay. It's gonna. I'll give you the trigger warning before it happens. So for some reason, Wayne is pretty sure that RJ is in here, and I was like, "Why do you feel that way?"
All of it is trigger warning.
So it actually is a lot. So he's walking through, and he's like, for some reason, just like yelling out relationship advice. He's just completely oblivious, and I was like, "This is stupid, Wayne. What the fuck is your problem?" I was like, nothing to me is indicating that RJ is in here. And if he is in here, that he's like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's dark as fuck in here. And he's walking and he's totally fucking barefoot, right? And he doesn't notice that there is a board on the floor and it has a really thick, rusty, I would say maybe like 6-inch nail sticking out of it. I mean, it is right in his path. And I was like, do you think Pearl put that there? I don't like that just seems so random that this was just there. Because weren't they in there earlier filming a scene? Like she was milking the cows earlier. And that wasn't there. I was like, did Pearl put that there to like fuck him up?
Pearl or Howard.
One of them, right? Because surprise, surprise, Howard is also a piece of shit, guys. It's not just Pearl. He's walking, he steps on the nail.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. He steps on it completely. It goes in completely.
Y'all have no idea. Like everybody have stuff in horror movies they don't like. I don't like these two. These are the top two things I hate. Back to back.
It's a lot. It's definitely a gory movie. The nail goes in his foot, and then I guess it was the right thing to do. It's totally embedded in his foot, and then he yanks it out. And I was like, yeah, I guess that was the right thing to do. But he doesn't immediately like try to go clean it. This is an infection that had what happens next not happen. This is tetanus. He might have died. It was a rusty fucking nail. He hobbles over to the back of the barn because there's some holes that are drilled into the back of the barn. He thinks that RJ, I guess, may be on the other side, that's whose shadow he saw. So he goes to these holes and he bends down and he peeps through each hole individually. So they're really dragging out the scene to give like maximum discomfort, like just suspense. Because once he gets to like the last hole, we get a shot of the prongs of a pitchfork coming through the holes and embedding themselves in Wayne's eyes. She then yanks this pitchfork out and his eyes come out with it. So she essentially yanks his eyes out. She walks into the barn and he's dead, but just to make sure he's dead, she just kind of stabs him in the back with the pitchfork and he doesn't move. So then she starts putting some hay on top of him. And yeah, that was the second on screen kill. So, and you're right, it's so simple for them to kill them because even together, I'm not sure that the two of them could have taken 3 young men. But separately, I mean, Pearl is a frail old woman, and she was able to dispatch 2 adult males by herself, you know?
Because she's swift.
She's swift. She knows what she did because she's a murderer.
The murderer.
Right? So, back in the main house, Howard has invited Lorraine in so they can start this search for RJ and Pearl. And he has a flashlight, but he asks Lorraine to go to the basement to get another flashlight. Dante.
It's the 70s. That's all I could see. Because I was like, never.
Absolutely not. What the fuck did you just ask me?
You go down there and get it, bitch. You tried it.
Exactly.
You absolutely tried it.
Yeah, so he's just like, yeah, go get this fucking flashlight. No. And he tells her that Pearl isn't well as it is. And it's so dark that he's worried that she could fall and break her hip. So he's really like laying it on thick. So that Lorraine is like, oh, I guess I have to. I don't give a fuck about these people. I would have been like, no, I'm not doing that. I would have been like, that's okay.
So now you're just quoting the movie?
Stop. Yes. So, but Lorraine is nice. She agrees.
No, she's silly.
You're right. She's silly because this couldn't have been me. Couldn't have been me.
Never in these situations.
Never. So once she's in the basement, Howard immediately locks the door behind her. So she's locked in. And she turns on the lights and she ends up finding a dead man. He is chained and strung up. It's a corpse and he's like totally exposed. His pants are down around his ankles and his penis is just like flopping out. And Lorraine lets out this very, very, very blood curdling scream. And even if you haven't seen this movie, you've probably seen this clip of her screaming. They use it on all of this film's like promo stuff. It's quite a scream. We cut back to the guest house and Jackson is waking up. And he sees Howard wandering around outside with a flashlight and shotgun. Jackson is being silly because Jackson, you already saw him pull this shotgun on somebody when we first got here. I thought that this was very silly. Why would you let your guard down around this man with this shotgun that you know is this ornery? He already told you that he doesn't like any of you. He tells Jackson that the gun is for the alligators. And he sells Jackson the same story about Pearl being missing and confused and that she may be by the lake's edge. And Jackson offers to help him find her. Now, while he's getting dressed, we see that Pearl has snuck into the house and she enters Maxine's room and she sees Maxine in the bed and Maxine's only in her underwear. So Pearl takes off all of her clothes and then climbs into bed with her.
It's really nasty.
And it's so unsettling. I didn't like it. It was hard to watch because Pearl starts rubbing on Maxine. She's like really caressing her body. Pearl's hands are still blood soaked, so she's really getting blood all over Maxine too. And then she buries her face into Maxine's hair and starts smelling her a lot. It's all very, very bizarre and very uncomfortable. And Maxine is just like totally unaware. She's sleeping. So, meanwhile, Howard has taken Jackson to the lake's edge to allegedly search for Pearl, and they split up, and Jackson ends up finding an old VW Beetle, and it's a car, and it's partially submerged in the lake water. That's alarming, right? Like, wouldn't you think that's weird? Because this is just their property. There shouldn't be a car in this water.
Right.
Like, am I tripping
No.
or
In my mind, I was like, well, I guess it's the 70s. They think everything is okay. In my mind, in the 70s, they thought everything was okay. Because
it's just the
I
70s?
think everything is suspect. Everything.
Right, like this guy has this shotgun that he's already pulled on somebody. Y'all are out by this lake in the middle of the night, and then you find this like half submerged car. I just thought that was very fucking weird. But Jackson's like really not phased by any of this. So additionally, he can't see it, but we see that the alligator is like right there and is waiting in the water. So when he goes back to meet up with Howard, he sees Howard's light. It's lying out in the swampy water. Howard like threw it in there. So it kind of gives the appearance that Howard has fallen into the water and drowned. And I guess Howard was maybe hoping
The
that
alligator.
Jackson would just get, eaten by this alligator. But Jackson frantically searches the water for him, but Howard isn't in the water. And so Jackson emerges and Howard is there. And I was like, Howard's like a real piece of shit, right? Like, I was like, Pearl is a piece of shit, but Howard is in no way better. Because like, I was like, Jackson is really helping you right now. He's really doing you a solid, and he thought you fell in this water, and he was really trying to help you, and now you're just gonna kill him?
Yeah.
So, spoiler, this is setting up the third on-screen kill. So, Howard just starts going on and on about how he can't give Pearl what she wants anymore. But that Jackson, like the last bohemian that stayed there, they're still able to have sex. And he is resentful about how they kind of just walk around kind of enticing Pearl. And I was like, why do you rent out this guest house then? If you're that fucking bothered,
You need
right?
money. What? How else they gonna make money?
Then you need to leave. You need to keep Pearl locked up when y'all have guests.
Pearl needs to be locked up.
Only. Period. Right.
I mean,
You're right.
like,
So Howard is telling Jackson all this, and Jackson is like, okay. I don't really know what I'm supposed to say to that. But he's like, we should just leave. We should go back to the house. And then Howard pulls out his shotgun. It literally is just like no time at all. In the blink of an eye, he pulls out the shotgun and he blasts Jackson like right in the chest. And Jackson goes flying. We never see Jackson again. He's done. He's dead.
he's done.
It was so quick and so aggressive. Rest in peace, Kid Cudi.
All the guys just die first.
Yeah, nobody puts up a formidable fight besides Maxine. And I feel like even in that moment, if Jackson wanted to, he could have overpowered Howard.
This is to quote our good friend Brenda. It's a bag of bones. Sydney, this is a bag of bones.
Right. Would you run from Callista Flockhart?
No.
It's the fact that you let this bag of bones
It's
get the
old
jump
man.
on you. Jackson. So, meanwhile, back at the guest house, Maxine wakes up and she finds Pearl in the bed with her, touching her. She lets out this really blood-curdling scream, which causes it causes naked Pearl to like run out of the house. But it also wakes up Bobby Lynn, and she like runs past Bobby Lynn, and Bobby Lynn's like, "What the fuck?" That shit was weird. Pearl's butt ass naked. She didn't even stop to put her nightgown back on. So I was like, "That's so crazy." So while that's happening, Lorraine is also trying to break out of the basement, and she successfully axes a panel out of the door.
The wrong panel.
Right. Because she reaches out and she's trying to reach the lock. And it does seem like they're going to do it. The movie makes you think that she is about to be able to unlock the door. No, Howard sees her because he's back in the house. He beats the fuck out of her fingers. I mean, he turns her fingers into like fucking meow mix. Like the shit looks crazy. Her fingers are broken as fuck. He just like beats it with the butt of this shotgun. And I was like, yowzer. And then it took her forever to like pull her hand back into the door. Didn't you think that was crazy?
I just felt like when he hit it one time, I would just put my hand.
I would have yanked my hand back into the door. No, he hits her hand like 17 times and her fingers are fucked up. And I was like, damn, I know that had to hurt. And she's screaming.
Oh, what was crazy? Like, why you don't think like she would have tried to, like you said earlier, how people don't fight back. I would try to like hit him.
No, she doesn't do that. I guess she doesn't do that because he doesn't want to kill her.
No, he's
Now.
just trying
He
to
just
take her for Pearl.
right. So he's trying to keep her in the basement, but he's like, you need to get back. And he does point the shotgun at her. So I guess she's like, I don't know. I feel like there are things that she could have done because he's pointing the shotgun at her, but like,
He's a bag of bones.
exactly. And it's like one of those fucking like Elmer Fudd elephant guns. Like I just feel like it's so long and he's sticking it through this hole. Like I feel like if you just like knocked it, he would fall over. Like I don't know.
Like if she would just like pull it, he would have. We'll see.
Exactly.
There's a reason why the name of the movie is going to be Maxine and not Lorraine.
And not Lorraine. Right. So at the guest house, I thought this was like really crazy. Bonnie Lynn doesn't rally with Maxine because that was really fucking weird that a naked ass Pearl just ran out of here. She, like, Maxine looks up and she sees that Bonnie Lynn is outside alone. Like, she's gone to look for Jackson and Wayne.
Why are people
alone.
always going to look for people?
Why aren't you staying in the house? They can come back here if they're alive. If not, there's nothing you can do for them, girl. Just y'all need to stick together.
It's dark, right?
It's dark, and she just like wanders out there. She's like has like a blanket wrapped around her. I just thought that was really crazy. Where do you think they are? What do you think they're doing?
It's not like too dumb to live in a bad movie, but it's very much so just like, why is everybody behaving as if they never existed in the world before?
Because it's the 70s.
Because it's the 70s. I'm just like, why y'all outside?
This is the 70s.
Why would her Maxine scream? I would have locked my door.
Exactly. Like I'm not trying to be but then you saw Pearl run out naked. That shit's really weird. I would have been like, fuck.
Let me lock my door.
Right. Something is wrong here. No. She goes outside.
She didn't feel Jackson got out the bed. She did because he's like, go back to bed. I've been like, nah, where you going? Where y'all going?
Where are you going?
We not in civilization. We not going to the stove.
But additionally, you saw that when y'all got here, this man just like very quickly pulled a shotgun on one person and he's already expressed how little he likes you. I would tread lightly.
I was like, with the doors locked.
Dante, I didn't even say that because I feel like that goes without fucking saying. Why are y'all in this strange ass place with your doors all cocked open? I just didn't like that. Because Jackson and Bobby Lynn...
Doors cocked open like legs.
I was like, what? Am I in the fucking Twilight Zone? Anyway, she goes out to find Jackson and Wayne, but she ends up finding a naked Pearl instead, who's standing at the edge of that dock. And Bonnie Lynn is trying to help Pearl, and she wraps her in a blanket, and she's like, I'm gonna help you. She's like, I wanted to be a nurse. She's being very nice to her, but Pearl slaps the fuck out of her. Pearl knocks a taste out of her mouth. And she's like, bitch, I don't need a nurse. She's like, I don't know what you think this is. She's like, you can't just flaunt your good looks in front of me. And she's like, what, who are you? You're nothing but a whore. And at this point, Bonnie Lynn is like, you bitch. So they just kind of start going at each other. And she's like, it's not my fault you lived an unfulfilled life. And that struck a nerve with Pearl, right? Because that's exactly Pearl's issue. And so when Bonnie Lynn goes to leave, she tells Pearl, she's like, she's like, move, you mean old ugly bitch. So Pearl just like shoves her into that lake.
You don't have no time. Ruth don't have time. You can't even set up this kill because it just comes out of nowhere.
It comes out of nowhere. She pushes her in the lake. Dante literally pushed her in the lake. She's like, bitch. And then this fucking man-eating alligator comes up, but he doesn't just like grab her. He doesn't grab her legs. He doesn't grab her by the shoulder, by the waist, torso. He grabs her by her fucking cranium. And he's just like shaking the fuck out of her cranium. I was like, this is insane. It's a man-eating alligator. He drags her, like, she's screaming. She's alive for too long, for my liking.
For my taste, too.
Yeah, he's, like, shaking her. It's, like, a big mess of, like, water splashing, blood, her screaming. It's very crazy. Eventually, he drags her under, and she is dead. And that's the fourth on-screen kill.
For, like, a horror movie, they all had very different deaths.
They did. Yes.
Everybody had their, like, it was almost like Final Destination level type of, like, death variety, you know?
Right. That's very, very true. That's super true, yeah.
God, that's a effed up way to go.
That was rough, because she lived too long.
She lived too long, but you know what? It's not, she wasn't trying to be mean when she's like, I want to be a nurse. But, like, I don't touch old people. When I see them looking out of it, I just be like, oh, man. Damn, that's wild.
That's the thing. She was trying to be nice.
Why
Jackson was trying to be nice.
Why?
Because, they're the most vulnerable.
Look, you know us. We've been friends for a long time. He had been like, oh, man, my wife is lost. Oh, but she around here somewhere.
Dante, I would have been like, let's call somebody. Should we call the police?
She shouldn't have gotten too far. It's not like we on a road.
Dante, I wouldn't have been out there in the first place. I just can't imagine that. I wouldn't have gone. No. If RJ was gone and I didn't know where he was, and this is how this whole thing started, I would have woken up every single person in this fucking house. If I really thought, okay, RJ is like somewhere, he's lost, we all need to go find him.
Right.
I just can't imagine that I would just be like, let's split up. Let's totally, completely, utterly split up. I will never see any of you people again.
First of all, I've been like, Wayne, can you put some clothes on? Like, let's be practical.
At the very least, put some damn shoes on. Put your shoes on. It's a farm.
You walk around here naked, one, and it's just been like, it's just, they split up so hard, and everybody's just on their own, and it's dark outside. Nobody has a flashlight.
Yes. No.
Nothing. It's crazy.
Just then, Howard walks up beside Pearl, and he asks, was that the one? And Pearl responds, no, I don't like blondes. And this is the first time that you've seen the two of them interacting with each other since they've started this massacre. So if you didn't understand the dynamic of this relationship, you understand it a little bit more after this.
Right.
Yeah. So now the two of them walk together to the guest house, shotgun drawn, to find Maxine, because she's the one that Pearl wants. But Maxine can see them coming through the window, and she hides.
She's the final girl.
She gets under her bed. Exactly.
She's the final girl.
She's the only one that does anything fucking smart. You just
Everything you see when you watch it, and you're watching her compared to everybody else, she is the only person who wants to live.
yes, absolutely
She wants to live.
right. So, Jesus. So she's hiding. When they come in, they look around the house. They can't find her. They sit and they start having a conversation, and they do this like recount of the members of the whole crew that they just killed. And Howard tells Pearl he has a girl, Lorraine, locked in the house for her. But she said that she doesn't want Lorraine. She wants Maxine because Maxine has something kind of special about her, just like Pearl did when she was younger. Probably because they're the same person. So she tells Howard that she's sick of never getting what she wants.
Oh my god, you're about to set up the next death scene, which is my death.
I know, right? I was like rolling my eyes. Why is this happening? I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm like, let's be for real here. Why is this happening?
To quote RJ, I ain't trying to see that.
Stop. RJ was like, nah. I don't want to see that.
He was like, nah, fam.
No, I'm good. Thank you, though.
No.
So, y'all, Howard says, he's like, I would have sex with you, but I'm also tired because they're fucking ancient, y'all. They're melting. So she understands, but she wants him to tell her how special she is. And he does. He says that he thought she was special since the first moment they met, and he tells her that he says she was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. And she's like, not anymore, basically. And he's like, then and always. And so she really wants Howard to have sex with her, to make her feel young again. He's concerned about his heart. But Pearl says, fuck that. And fuck me too. So she really wants to have this sex. Y'all, they start having
Oh my.
sex. Y'all, it's like two condoms filled with tapioca in a missionary position.
Y'all, and then they
like,
do some aerial. Y'all thought we were gonna have one aerial shot? We
oh
have
yeah,
multiple aerial shots in
no.
this movie.
Yeah,
This is
no,
so.
it's an aerial shot. You see everything.
Oh my god, you see just old man butt.
They did a good job with the
Prosthetics?
yes, because I was like, ew. I was like, I don't want to see this.
I really, really didn't like that.
Yeah, so they have sex. Like, they're like fucking. Like, it's a very strange, it looks painful. It looks dry, but they're having sex. Right on Maxine's bed. And they don't realize that Maxine is hiding underneath it. And I know that she's like, ugh. She's like, I need to get the fuck out of here. So she's able to just like kind of slide on her stomach. She slides out of the room, slides through the doorway, and she's out of the house. And she makes it to the van, but she finds that Pearl has stuck a knife in the tire. So the van is no good. She also finds RJ's decapitated corpse, which is still on the ground right in front of the van. So she really understands like what time it is right now.
Time to go.
Exactly. But then she can hear Lorraine screaming for help from the basement, and she grabs that gun out of the glove compartment in the van that we saw earlier, and she's gonna go save her. She does save her, okay? She gets Lorraine out of this fucking basement. But y'all,
She's a final girl.
Lorraine, she is a final girl, but Lorraine is not. Lorraine is tripping with a capital T because she is screaming and she's just like,
This is all your fault.
yes, she's like, Maxine is a is like a bitch, and she's like, she blames her, and she's like, don't tell me to be quiet. And and Maxine is like, bitch, are you dumb? She's like, we need to find the keys to their truck, and we need to get the fuck out of here before we get caught. And she's just like, I hate you. I hate you. And she goes screaming out of the house, and she is expeditiously blasted in the fucking face with Howard's shotgun. It happened so fucking fast. I was shook because I knew that she was about to die, and I knew she was probably going to get shot. But the ferociousness of this shotgun blast.
You remember when it's like in Scream 3 when she's like, I did not F that pig Milton to die with second story seven. It's like, you do. And then she runs and then she's just dead. She's dead after that. You're like,
Yes.
but it's also just like, you really would have made it. Because Maxine's a
Yep.
fighter.
Exactly. And then especially y'all would have had an even greater chance together to
Because
make it. Y'all
Maxine
could
is
have.
like, they old. What are y'all doing here? They're old. Push them down. They can't get up.
No, literally, because okay, so
Everything with me
so
is like, push them down. They cannot get up. They literally cannot get up.
literally,
He has a bad heart. Go blow the horn.
yeah, just jump out and say boo, and that's that, quick and easy.
He's over.
So sorry, that was the fifth on-screen kill, Lorraine getting her fucking face blown off. But we actually get a close-up of her face, and they're trying to drag her body into the house, and Lorraine suddenly makes this gurgling. She like twitches, and this alone causes Howard to have a fucking heart attack. Howard drops fucking dead on the floor. And
Y'all.
I was like, well, damn, that was quick. Yeah, that was so simple. And Maxine's like, yes. Just, so Maxine uses this as her opportunity to confront Pearl, gun in hand, and she asks her, where are the keys to that fucking truck? And Pearl is like, he's having a heart attack. Maxine's like, bitch, I don't
I
give
don't
a
give a
fuck.
fuck. I was like, I love that. That's the energy I wanted for all the characters. I don't care.
I don't
You're
give a
old.
I don't give a fuck about these people. I don't give a fuck about her. I don't give a fuck about him. I don't give a fuck about y'all as a couple. She's like, what the fuck does that have to do with me? Give me the damn keys to the truck. So Pearl tells her where the keys are. She grabs the keys, but then she decides to confront Pearl some more. And I was like, okay, girl, you are teetering on the edge because you're the final girl. You're doing some not too final girl stuff. You need to get the fuck out of here. But they're having this like back and forth exchange, right? Because at the end of the day, they are the same person,
Person.
right? So they're very similar people, just born in different times, different circumstances. So they're having this back and forth. Now, the entire time that this is happening, the TV is blasting that really fanatical, like televised preacher that we saw earlier in the movie. And he is just like going on and on about the sin and the repenting. And Pearl is calling Maxine a whore. And she's telling her that she saw her in the barn. And she says that Maxine is going to end up just like her, which is a fate worse than death, in my opinion. And Maxine tells Pearl that she's nothing like her because she calls Pearl a kidnapping, murdering sex fiend. And Maxine, she says, I'm a fucking
Star.
star. And I was like, that probably like is really hitting a nerve with Pearl.
Yeah.
Because Maxine's like, the whole world is gonna know my name.
It's very reflective to a part in the other movie.
Right. So she says the line that she says earlier, and it syncs up almost perfectly with what the preacher is saying on the TV. She said, I will not accept the life that I do not deserve. So she then goes to shoot Pearl, but the gun is empty. Just then, Pearl grabs a shotgun and she takes a shot at Maxine, but Maxine ducks.
Because why not?
Because why didn't everybody fucking do that? She just ducks, so Pearl misses and goes flying back and breaks her damn hip. She should have been broken. Y'all could have broken this bitch's hip three bodies
That's what I
ago.
was saying. I was like, literally, this could have been an alternate movie. RJ would have left them because it could have been as good as them just killing those two old people. Because realistically, RJ could have left them. He could have saw her pass around like, "Ooh, it really sucks," and then they would have went and tried to kill the five of them. And Maxine would have been like, "They're old," and just push them down.
Just fucking boo to one, and the other one just fucking clip her, and then that's it. She's incapacitated. That's it. She's done. Because once Pearl is on the ground, she is done. Like she is like she cannot move. She is
Please help
dragging
me.
herself on the ground. Yes, she is like now begging Maxine for help. The same girl that you were just like shitting on. So that's how desperate you know she is. Hip is shattered. So Maxine, she's like, help me. Maxine is like, child. Anyway, she jumps into the truck to get the fuck. But Pearl, even in her condition, is still talking shit on the ground. She's like, oh, you're not going to help me?
Oh, this feels so good. Oh my god.
So she's like, well, you're just a whore. She's like,
Yo.
you're not special. And she's like, it's all going to be taken away from you, just like it was taken away from me. So Maxine just like, she doesn't even break a sweat. She just throws that bitch in reverse and just runs right over Pearl's head. And Pearl was like, ah! No.
I haven't felt so good about somebody a villain dying. And this was the same year when Gail shot Amber. Oh my god, it felt so good. And in both scenarios, I was like, they didn't do. Because I always didn't like that Gail didn't pistol whip Amber a little bit after. I didn't like that.
I agree.
But I wish that, but Maxine ran over that head, and I was like, I would have ran over a little bit more, but I understand. Because sometimes people
maybe would have ran over it slow.
Some people just need it. She needed to get her head ran over. You know,
she did.
She needed to die because she's unpleasant.
Exceedingly unpleasant
for no reason. You killing people
right.
and you annoying.
Right.
Why you took your clothes off?
Do you not feel silly? Are you not embarrassed? Is this not embarrassing? Look at you, the way she ran naked out of that house. I was like, girl, I would have. It's like, fuck your hip breaking. I would have died of embarrassment on the fucking steps.
Man, she was serious. I was like, why did you get in the bed with her?
She was serious as fuck, and the way she shuffled out, just tits swinging. I was like, oh my god.
You know what's crazy? This was 1979. If she would have just waited one more year, she would have been in Terror Train.
Could have donated her body to Terror Train.
No. Just one more year.
That's just so stupid. Yes.
Just one more year.
So Pearl backs up over her head, reverses over, her head explodes like a water balloon filled with fucking jelly. But then I was like, just to drive it home, then Pearl puts it in drive and rolls over her head one more time for good measure. Then she drives away. She does another bump of coke for the road. That was the 6th on-screen kill. And now we cut to the next day.
The 7th. Howard died. Well, he didn't.
I'm not counting that. Yeah, he just had a heart attack.
He killed himself.
That was his own fault.
Stupid.
Right, from being so fucking stupid. Your old ass shouldn't be doing all this anyway. You're dragging a body. Sit your old ass down. So
go watch Matlock, you bastard.
I know. So I didn't count him as an on-screen kill because I was like, that was fucking, he had that coming. That was natural causes. But now we're cutting to the next day. And it's going back to the beginning. So the cops are discovering the bodies at Pearl's house. the camera is sitting in a way that we kind of see the cops like doing their thing in the background, but the camera is still sitting on that fucking fanatical preacher on the television. And in a crazy turn of events, he reveals a big photo of Maxine. She's actually his daughter, who he states has been lured into a life of sin by the very demons that he's been like railing against this entire movie. So that was like, but that's why I will not accept the life I do not deserve. That's what she gets that from. She gets it. That's why they matched up, because she gets it from her dad. So the police end up finding RJ's camera in the guest house. And when the officer asks the sheriff, well, like, what do you think's on it? The sheriff says, quote, by the look of everything, I'd say one goddamn fucked up horror picture. And then the credits start to roll. And that's the end of the movie.
It's just enough, you know? It's just enough.
This movie reminds me a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies. It kind of feels like a grindhouse type movie. It has that same feel.
Because it's like, it starts backwards. They're very distinct characters. None too big, none too small. And there's these
It's
like
extra gory.
There's these like bits of just like dialogue. Of just like long like dialogue.
Yeah, it's just like cut up into different just like scenes. Additionally, the way that the movie's like cut, where it's like it starts as one thing and goes into another. It feels very Quentin Tarantino to me. That's like the vibe that I was getting from it.
And like they have those scenes where like this is happening, but you're really focusing on something in the corner, or your
Yeah.
arm. Then of course the foot.
Yeah. There's the feet thing is always a thing.
Oh my god, that was the worst. That was the worst death, or was Bobby Lynn the worst death?
Bobby Lynn,
I don't know.
probably. Because I think it hurts to get a nail in your foot, but like Marv took that nail in his foot in Home Alone and kept it trucking.
That's true, but Wayne got those pitchforks in his eyes.
But I think that he died quickly. She did it, and I was like half expecting him to stay alive for a minute, but I think she did it deep enough that he died. Because you don't die from your eyes getting pulled out. We know that from L Driver. But he was definitely dead. Like it's not like he lingered at all. He was just dead. I think that she stuck the pitchfork in with enough force to just like kind of kill him outright. Bobby Lynn, that was really rough. Straight up. But like head first.
But RJ got messed up too.
RJ, that one was really bad too. That was really bad because he lived for a while.
Because he was like, what the F? Like, you know, he really... Jackson was the quick
Jackson died quick. Lorraine died quick too. Besides her finger getting turned into potted meat, she died quickly.
Oh my god. There was definitely a lot of variety.
Yeah.
Pearl didn't get it good enough. She got a bad one, but she still needed more.
I mean, I guess she broke her hip, but
that hurt to her.
My grandma broke her hip. She was okay. Pearl didn't get her comeuppance enough for me.
Pearl just really sucks because she kept lying about how she used to be a dancer.
Pearl should have gotten eaten by the alligator.
She could have.
That would have been nice.
If Bobby Lynn would have just been like, no, push her in the lake.
See, I was like, Bobby Lynn was doing a lot to be the one facing the water. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like to be the one with their back to the water. I was like, Bobby Lynn, please distance yourself from the edge of this dock.
I would never get
What are
on
you
the
doing?
edge.
Right. Why did you do that? I would have stood behind her and, pulled her off of this dock.
They always say that when you go to the Grand Canyon, don't get up too fast on the edge. Don't get too close.
I can't even imagine. I am very afraid of heights.
Oh, you wouldn't go to the Grand Canyon?
I can't imagine myself doing that.
Okay. It's okay. I don't like to fly.
I That's understandable as well. I just don't want to. I just don't. I like to minimize the chances of me dying. Because then if I die, it's going to be like, well, yeah, of course she
Clip it at
died.
home, read the book.
Right. So let's finish this one. So the kill count is it's 6 on-screen kills. So 3 by Pearl, 2 by Howard, 1 by Maxine, and then Howard fucking had a heart attack.
Oh, I'm about to say one by the alligator.
Stop. I'm counting that one as one against Pearl because she knew that alligator was there. So the Rotten Tomatoes. So I thought okay, it's a 94% critic and a 75% audience, which is still good. But does that surprise you
When I saw it,
that they're like different?
it makes me not like people. It's
Well, okay. So the IMDb is a 6.5 out of 10 with 159,000 reviews. And I was like, damn, a lot of people saw this movie. So let's talk about it. Well, I guess let me do the fun facts because there's only like 3. I couldn't find a lot for this movie, but the movie is, even though it takes place in Texas, this whole movie, this one and Pearl, were shot in New Zealand.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, they really gave it a Texas feel for sure. Um, a little like hidden thing. There's a part in the movie where Jackson, he's drinking milk out of a carton. And if you look close enough, the man that's chained up in their basement that Lorraine finds, he's actually a missing person on that milk carton.
That's
So I thought
crazy.
that was interesting. So the title of the film refers to the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association. So from 1968 to like 1990, they used an X rating, which only indicated that a film was suitable for audience ages 16 and older. So the idea behind that rating was that, like, unlike other certificates, so like the PG-13, the PGR, X would not be trademarked. So it would allow filmmakers to release their films in theaters without ever needing to submit it to the MPAA for an age certification. Because it's like, if it's an X, you just know that nobody under 16 can see this. It was like the equivalent of just like a rated R type movie. But in the 70s, the porn industry would end up exploiting this X rating because of the lack of the trademark. So they would end up releasing pornos in theaters with the same rating. And so then eventually, it's like they were kind of flying under the radar with that. And so eventually the X became more associated with porn, and more movie theaters started refusing to show films that had an X rating, forcing non-pornographic films to go through the censorship that the MPAA makes you go through in order to get a movie put out. Because I think when we talk about it, like, I think Scream had to go through the MPAA process, I think like 9 times, because it was an NC-17, and you have to essentially whittle it down to appease them to get that R rating. Films didn't want to do that, but then they started having to. So in 1990, the MPAA discontinued the X rating and replaced it with the NC-17. So unlike X, NC-17 was trademarked and could not be self-applied, but it still meant that most theaters would not show the film with that rating. So it ultimately resulted in censorship. But that's like where the name of the movie comes from. That it's like a play on that X rating. And that's like all the fun facts that I had. So, okay, hit or miss?
Oh, it's a hit. I think it's one you should see. I like this movie. I don't know. I would have to wait another year or two if I call it a new classic. But it's kind of like one of those where it's like, oh, you should definitely check this one out. You won't be disappointed, and because like we've said before, it's it's not long,
It's not long.
which is important in these days. Because sometimes movies are just too dang long, you know, and it makes it hard for you to really kind of get used to the ins and outs of them.
So, I am going to have to say, I think that I have to say that this movie is a miss.
Ooh.
I know. Something about it just, I do appreciate, so you comparing it to like a stage production, a play, makes me like it a little bit better because, I love plays and it gives me very much play vibes because, I used to do plays. So I like that. I like that idea. There are certain aspects that I really like about it. I don't know, something about it just didn't hit with me, and I said that it gave me like Quentin Tarantino vibes, and I feel like I enjoy Quentin Tarantino films more. Like this felt like Quentin Tarantino but missing something. I don't know.
Do you think it
I don't
touches
know.
on? Do you think it touches on stuff not good enough, or like it brings up a lot of points, but it's just kind of like leave them there, or
It's like a part of me really likes, like I appreciate the switch, the total dichotomy between the first part of the movie and the second part of the movie. I like that. It's just I just thought like some stuff, I think it was like supposed to hit harder than it did. Like I didn't like the addition of Landslide. I hated that whole scene.
you were like, and then they just pull out a guitar.
And then because then he just because this is the thing. It didn't happen organically. They were having a conversation, a really like not heated, but like a really in-depth conversation. And then I think that Jackson literally was just like, okay, you ready? And they were like, yeah. And then she just fucking started singing Landslide. And I was like, this is so fucking random. And it's like, I know that the director just really, really wanted to use that song because of how it relates to Pearl. But I was like, why is this? You never brought up the guitar before. We never talked about the fact that Jackson plays the guitar previously. So it just felt extra, extra random. And that made it feel like shoehorned in. And I know that it's like they needed some. I would have preferred that that wasn't in there. And then the movie, something just like really wild happened and that marked the shift in the movie. Like with Psycho, when Janet Leigh gets stabbed, it's totally innocuous up until that point. She's just like doing stuff. She's going to take a shower, and then she just gets fucking stabbed in her shower, and that was like a crazy event. And then the movie just goes a completely different route. They broke it up. It's like you have the whole first half of the movie. You have Landslide, and then you have another half of the movie. Landslide is almost like an extra part that doesn't fit. And I just thought that there was like a few things like that were just like extra little things that didn't fit. And so it was just like some stuff just didn't hit as hard as I think that he thought that it would.
It is random. That part is very random. I will
It's
give you
random.
that. Like I said, it's not like it's not. I think it's just a. I think it's a fun movie to watch. This was only my second time.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it in the movie theaters and I watched it for this episode. That's so funny. You can't get over that musical number, huh? It was kind of like SNL. Like you go to commercial, you come back, and now it's like, ladies and gentlemen,
Stop. They just
Bobby Lynn.
Foo Fighters.
Foo
It's just
Fighters.
like I just didn't. It just, but that just to me, it feels like something lacking in the writing. And it's like, it was gory, and I don't always, I don't have an issue with gore, but I just felt like, I don't know. I don't know. Something about it just missed the mark. It just like didn't, it wasn't like hitting. Like, it's just something about it just kind of, like I was watching it and I was kind of like,
Ready for it to be over?
right, I was kind of bored. I got taken out of the movie at landslide, and then after that it was just like everybody died so fast. The pacing, I guess, is weird, and I know that he wanted to make it two different movies. That's why he put in the line about Psycho, and I appreciate that, but that made the pacing very weird because for an hour of the film, we get absolutely nothing. And then all of a sudden, it's like people get killed 16 different ways. There's a heart attack and an alligator and a pitchfork and a fucking shotgun. And it's like, I'm just like, damn, that's a lot to pack into 30 minutes because you're not building suspense around any one kill. You don't have any really standout kills. You're not building the scenes. It's just like, how quick can we get him? Because the movie can only have this much of a runtime. So now we have to just like, boom, 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 let's just kill him really fast. And so it just felt artificial that they would split up the way that they did. It felt artificial that Bonnie Lynn would fucking go outside after she just heard Maxine screaming the way that she did, saw a shriveled naked Pearl run out of the house. She would go walking through like this wooded area to this lake to go look for Jackson and Wayne. Like, clearly something weird is going on here. And that just felt not realistic to me, but they needed her to be alone so that somebody could get eaten by the alligator. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean.
So I was just like, yeah, that was my thing.
It's not one you'll revisit.
No, I'll probably never watch this movie again. But I do want to see Maxine. I think that setting sounds really nice. I think Mia Goth is excellent in the role.
They say it's gonna
Um,
be like a Dario Argento movie, like a
I
Gala,
saw,
which is gonna be kind of cool.
yeah. So I'm eager to see. I think that I like the cinematography. I like the use of the aerial shots. I thought that he did there's some things were a little weird. I don't know if you remember how they would flash between things. Do you remember that?
Kind of like almost like porn like.
I don't know. It wasn't giving me porn vibes. It was giving me like, okay, you tried something and it didn't really work kind of vibe. Like, they did that a lot with flashing between. It's like they'll pop up, like, keep flashing the preacher over a scene or something, and I was just like, I don't like that. I just thought that was a choice, and I didn't appreciate it. It's just like, at the end of the day, I was just bored. I was ready for it to be over.
It's one of those art house films. It's kind of just like it's just you're doing a lot.
It's just like, yes, it was doing a lot. It had an issue with pacing, and you can't. It just feels like you can't have an hour of nothing and then pack that many crazy. It just feels like almost cartoonish at that point to pack that many like
Deaths.
wonky death scenes. Yes, laying a pitchfork and an alligator and a broken
somebody
hip and a.
somebody should have died earlier. Do you think like maybe not like what if it wasn't Mia Goth who went swimming? What if somebody else went swimming and got eaten by the alligator first? Something like that.
They didn't have to die. Wait, I didn't need necessarily somebody to die earlier. I would have liked the second half of the movie to be the hour long part and the 30-minute part be the beginning. If they would have switched that, and that could have worked with pacing a little bit, and then people could have made smarter decisions. But like, it would have been a situation now a little bit more like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it's like you're stranded, you don't know this land, because once RJ was killed, their vehicle was messed up. They couldn't use his van anymore. So now they are stuck here. And so now they just kind of, I feel like maybe they could have worked a little bit more with that, which I know it's difficult because at the end of the day, it is two elderly people, right? So they're not really formidable enemies, but I just felt like the decisions that people were making weren't smart. Therefore, like, I just feel like in reality, in the real world, would Lorraine have run out of the house like that to get killed really quick? Like, they had to kill her. They were out of time. They were like, "Ugh, fuck, we need to kill her quick." Have her run like a fucking idiot outside and get shot in the face.
No, no,
Okay.
that part. No, but it's kind of like when we talked about the Halloween movie. I told you, I even if something is bad, I'd rather watch something that I've never seen before. It's kind of different than watch something
Mm-hmm.
over and over again. So for me, it's just like, oh, this is kind of different, different premise. Oh, it's kind of
I
cool
agree.
looking. So it's like, okay, for me, those kind of things I enjoy. But everything, your criticisms are very valid because why? I couldn't when Lorraine was like, Wayne, please help me find him, and the first thing they did was split up. I was like, God damn.
Literally, I don't even think that she like waited for him to come outside. I think she was like, "Help me find him," and then she was like, "Okay, doop, 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 gotta go on my way." And he's
Are
just
you
like,
the
kind of running.
are you the killer? Are you setting?
Right, like what is going on here? I thought that was crazy, and I thought that it absolutely made zero sense that Bobby Lynn would go outside by herself looking for Wayne and Jackson after what just happened in the house. That you wouldn't check in with Maxine. It's not like Lorraine was the one screaming and she doesn't know Lorraine. And so she'd be like, let me find people I know. You know Maxine. Y'all are friends. She didn't even go like check on her. She just like fucked off to go find Jackson and Wayne. I thought that was so strange, but it's like the movie had to get her alone. They didn't have time for things to happen naturally. They didn't have time for a natural progression because they were like, we only have 30 minutes left. We have to kill these people as quickly as possible. So let's get them alone, no matter how outlandish it might be. Like, there's no way in hell Lorraine would fucking do that. You know he has a shotgun. That's the reason that you were too afraid to try to get out of the basement again, because he had a shotgun, because he threatened you with the shotgun. You just ran out without even looking first. You're that hysterical? That doesn't make sense. You were smart enough to go searching for this axe. You beat out this panel of the door. You're smart enough to keep your composure, to like not try to open it again so that you don't get your fingers like mauled again. And then you get out and you just run out the door and get shot in the face. But I was like, that's not smart. But it's like he didn't have a choice because the runtime is it's too much. She needs to die because we need to get to this showdown between Pearl and Maxine. So just get her out of the way. And I was like, her death could have been treated better, but he didn't have time because he was trying to jam it all in the last like fucking 30 minutes of the movie. I don't mean to shit on it because you're absolutely right. It is very original. I thought it was really good. I thought the acting, everybody's acting, I thought was very good. I loved Mia Goth as Pearl. She made me hate her, and I think Maxine is great. Um, I don't know, just something was missing.
Yeah, no, it's the that first hour
Mm-hmm. I just wish that they would have switched.
switched it.
And, yeah, and then we could have had, and not necessarily that we need longer kills, but this movie didn't have a standout kill. You know how horror movies will typically have that one that you remember, like it's like a big one, like Terrifier 1 had Dawn, like a kind of pièce de résistance. This movie didn't have time to dedicate to any individual kills. We couldn't really savor them.
I don't think your criticisms are not valid. I don't think you're just making like I don't think you're just like disliking it to dislike it. You know,
It's a feeling thing too. I wasn't feeling it.
Who wasn't feeling it? I understand, but I liked it. I would watch this again.
I've said my piece.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to tell them about the social media?
Yes. Okay, so please follow us on Instagram as well as our Facebook and our YouTube channel.
YouTube.
Yes.
Another way to listen.
Like and subscribe, of course. Leave a comment. Of course, if you're on our Instagram, you know that we're very active on it, so please feel free to hit us up with suggestions or comments, general ideas. We also have an email address, and it's all Did You Get That on Film? So if you don't have a social media, you can go ahead and just hit us up if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes
At Gmail.
at Gmail. And if you are streaming on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, just leave us a comment. It really helps. A rating and a comment. Help us out.
And it makes us feel good. It's a nice feeling.
We like to read the comments and hear the feedback because we want to make it as enjoyable of a listening experience as possible.
Yes. All right. Well, I guess that's it.
This is it. This was a good one. It was a good episode.
Yeah.
I love it was a good one.
I mean, it is a thing, but we only do hit or miss.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah. All right. Until next time, guys. Bye.